Well, hello there. How is everyone? I hope you're well. You amazing, beautiful, wonderful people. And you are looking absolutely beautiful. You must be having a good weekend. Anyway, I'm going to get straight into the meat and potatoes as it's the weekend and I know you've got stuff to do. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. If it's not, happy not birthday. I just hope you're all having an amazing day. So, look, I want to do this video because a few people had reached out to me regarding this video, including Michael himself, who has done the video. And in the description of this video, there will be a link to his video, and I want you to go and check it out if you haven't seen it already. And what we're talking about here in this video is, in essence, is whether Kaylee Goncalves was the target in the Idaho 4 case, and whether this stems back to a potential narcotics connection. Now, that doesn't mean that Bryan Kohberger wasn't involved in this crime. So this may, to some degree, satisfy both the guilters and the down the middlers and not so much the pro-burgers, but it may make some sense. And to be fair and non-biased, we do have to address some of these things. Because ultimately, we don't see that there is a connection between Bryan Kohberger and the victims. We just don't see it yet. We may be shown it, certainly will, if they believe they've got the right guy, right? Surely. We must be able to be shown some form of connection, or is the prosecution just going to base their entire case on circumstantial evidence that currently is being pulled to pieces? So let's consider why we would consider Kaylee Goncalves being the person who's involved from a perspective of being the target. Now, we know that the Goncalves family has kind of been front and centre. They have been the absolute tip of the spear, if you like, the tip of the spear when it comes to justice for these victims. We've also heard Steve Goncalves talk about, briefly, about the fact that there would be things that come out that some people would consider gross, but you kind of have to, and I'm paraphrasing, you've got to kind of just rip the band-aid off and just roll with it. Now, what I will say is, look, whatever these students were involved in, it doesn't mean that what happened to them is warranted. I do not believe that for 1 second. Please don't try and put those words in my mouth. This was a heinous act, and nobody deserved to have that happen to them. But ultimately, there has to be some reason that it happened, unless we're just going to go down the route of saying Bryan Kohberger was simply just a psychopath. But if he was a psychopath, then why would he have travelled from where he was in Pullman, Washington, all the way to Moscow, Idaho? Surely a psychopath, they may as well have just killed on their own doorstep. A crime of convenience, if you like. But he didn't. He decided to travel, apparently, over from Pullman, Washington to Moscow, Idaho, and commit this atrocious act. And, you know, I've read a lot into this, and they talk about, you know, the difference between what makes a psychopath, and then you've got murderers, you know, people who kill for other reasons. Now, psychopaths and serial killers don't tend to necessarily have a motive to do the crime. They're just basically feeding what they consider an innate desire to kill, you know, whereas somebody else committing a crime, it might be done but out of jealousy, it might be done out of rage, it might be done out of, you know, they just snap. And this is a crime, you know, we talk about crimes of passion. I don't believe that Bryan Kohberger falls into that category where this was a crime of passion or anything like that. Now, could Bryan Kohberger simply be a psycho? Yeah, he could be a psycho. He could be absolutely psychopathic, and not only that, but he could be, alongside what we see with some psychopaths, is that they can be incredibly manipulative. And is that the byproduct, what you're seeing when you hear Eliza Masseth and Taylor saying that they believe that he is innocent? The thing what throws a spanner in the works with that is when you see the PCA being pulled about and taken apart quite easily, because there is nothing that we have been shown that kind of backs it up. But in order to be fair, we must ascertain that there is a reason for this. Is it just because this is something that's all going to come out later on down the line. But again, you throw another spanner in the works when you hear in some of the hearings with Payne, for instance, who wasn't very confident in asking the questions when challenged on the missing pieces of evidence. It was almost like he didn't know where they were. He didn't know what to do about it. He'd forgotten. But look, Kaylee Goncalves didn't live in this house. She didn't live here. She lived away. She came back on one night, seemingly invited over as a plus one, not plus two, plus one. Now, is that true? I don't know. We hear varying rumours. She wanted to go over to show off her new vehicle. A new vehicle that some have said was this bought through the proceeds of something that some may find gross, perhaps. Who knows? Who knows? But what Michael's video touches on is the use of Stingrays. And there seems to be a grey area in terms of the phones and what equipment was being used in the Idaho 4 case when they were hunting for Brian. In fact, Stingray addressed this very situation when he points out that if they already knew of Brian Kohberger, they already knew where he was, then why would they mention or utilize a Stingray? Were they, in fact, already using one? Was the property or the area already under surveillance? And did somehow the use of this equipment inhibit the ability for these students to contact one another or contact law enforcement on the night this happened? Maybe we'll never know, but it is something that is brought into question in Michael's video. Again, go and check it out. But, you know, at the end of the day, we've heard these things. We've heard Steve Goncalves on one side say they didn't have to go upstairs, which can be taken in varying different ways. I took it as what he meant was he was trying to say that the targets were almost downstairs, so once they'd done that, they didn't really have to go upstairs. But the mechanics of how this crime happened would lead you to believe that whoever entered the property went upstairs first. Now, if we go back to psychotic behaviour, then a psychotic person entering into a house just to do a crime where there is no connection, why would he seemingly systematically make his way through the property to specific people and leave specific people? There just seems to be some things going on in this house that would lead you to believe there's potential that something else was going on in the background, like we've talked about before, where somebody walks into a house seemingly not knowing who's in there, and it just happens that this was the magic hour. This was the time when everyone was in their rooms. Football night, yet no party. When every other night this seems to be a party house. A party apparently had happened just the night before with hundreds of people there. Again, this is just something we've been told. I don't know the factual grounding for that, but I bring it to you. But was Kaylee Goncalves, and there's more things, I don't want to cover everything in Michael's video because there'd be no point in watching it, but there are some things that are brought up about Kaylee Goncalves that would lead you to believe there's a potential that she could say or do something that could have potentially made her a target. So I ask you to head over, check out that video and see what you think. Come and tell me what you think to that. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to be as fair as I can in terms of, okay, we've got the guilters who are firmly in belief that Brian Kohberger was the person who did this crime, but yet we are missing motive. We are missing connection. Is there some way that this happened where Brian Kohberger was, in fact, connected in some way, shape, or form? And this is a bigger picture. Hence, the fact that they keep referring to this case as a complex case. Why would it be complex? And I touched on this before. Is it simply because the complexity comes by trying to turn circumstantial evidence into strong enough evidence to convict when there isn't really anything concrete or tangible for you to touch? We don't have a weapon. We don't have blood in his car. We don't have his DNA on the bodies. We just have the DNA on the sheath, which is weak. It's weak. It's there, and I believe that primarily has been the thing that has kept him in the position he's in, because I think if you remove the sheath, then what else is there? What we think that he may have been driving around in the area, but we don't have any proof of such. We're kind of just guessing. Just not going to wash. But yeah, let me know down below what you think. Go and check out that video. The link is in the description. I'll also put it in the pinned comment as well to make it a little bit easier to find. Go shed some love over with Michael and then come back and let me know what you think. And let me know down below what you think to this video. Yeah. Have a fantastic weekend. I might have a day off tomorrow. I'm really struggling with hay fever. Thank you for your remedies and stuff, what you tell me. I'm just a stupid idiot. I'm stubborn as fuck, and I don't genuinely listen to anybody trying to give me advice because I think I know better. And the truth is, I don't. But, you know, I'll catch you all in the next one.